Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Mental Health Monday here on Even Tacos Fall Apart. I am here and ready to start this week off with you guys. I hope that you are having a good start to your week as well. I am very excited. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Laura Bratton's story, and she is going to be talking about becoming blind as a teen and finding hope and all about grit and gratitude. So, Laura, thank you so much for joining us tonight and for being willing to share this story with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of links for you guys, but before we get to those, just reminding you that we do have a question queue open as well. So if you have any questions for Laura while we are live today, feel free to drop those into the chat and we will make sure to get to them while we are here, while we are live. It's a big draw to why we do these lives. So if you got any questions, feel free to drop them in there. We'll make sure to get them addressed. But like I said, today I'm joined by Laura Bratton, author of Harnessing Courage and founder of Ubi Global. When Laura was just 9 years old, she was diagnosed with an eye disease and learned she would eventually lose her sight. Over the next 10 years, she went through the challenging transition of becoming blind as a teenager. She went on to become the first blind student to graduate from Princeton Theological Seminary, and today she's a speaker and coach who helps people navigate their toughest challenges with what she calls grit and gratitude. So again, Laura, thank you so much and welcome. And I am going to post your website and your LinkedIn for folks who want to get in there and connect with you, but feel free to pop through to any of those. And again, Laura, thank you so much for being here.
My honor. I'm excited.
So to kind of start us off here, what inspired you to start sharing your story and also helping others through Ubi Global?
So the whole passion, the whole reason, drive was because of the support that I received. So the support that I received when I was losing my sight, and I mean this literally, not just like a cliche, is the reason I'm still here today. And is the reason that I was able to move forward. And so because of receiving that support, I did not just want to say, great for me, I received the support, end of story. Rather, I was so deeply passionate about saying, now let me go be that support in the world. Let me go create an organization, write a book. Let me be that support to others just as I had received that support.
Yeah, and kind of just continuing that
100%.
cycle.
Because I knew from lived experience how it was the reason I was empowered, the reason I was able to move forward. So I absolutely want to continue that and be that support to others to also empower other people.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the organization that you started?
So it's all around speaking and coaching, and the main slash like theme slash topic is all about when we navigate through change, how do we keep going? So I speak to organizations, corporations, associations on when we go through change, how do we keep going and not be stuck and stopped by the change? And specifically, what I teach on and speak on is how do we create a foundation of grit and of gratitude so that as we navigate through change, we can acknowledge the change and keep going. So the change doesn't just overwhelm us, shut us down, prevent us from reaching our goals. So that's on the speaking side. And then also on the coaching side, it's that same perspective, just on a one-on-one individual coaching connection. But the whole theme is how do we navigate through change when we experience adversity?
Oh, that's fantastic. Do you have a favorite book or one that you feel more folks should take the time to read?
The book that I absolutely love, and I love it because it sums up my experience of the support I received. It's called Tuesdays with Maury.
Okay.
And it's all the reason I love it. It's like a snapshot of my life. It's about two friends. It's about a man who would every single Tuesday go and visit his friend who had ALS and was progressively getting worse. And every Tuesday, he would go and just spend time with him. Some Tuesdays, they talk about sports and the latest like current events. Other Tuesdays were deep, meaningful conversations that were tear filled and just healing for him to acknowledge the pain. Other Tuesdays were them just sitting in silence, them just being present with one another. So the whole point about the book is the gift that we are to each other. That as one friend was offering support to another friend experiencing extreme pain and that would eventually lead to death, yet he taught so much to his friend coming to visit. So the point is, our support is not one-sided.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a perfect, beautiful illustration of how we all are here to help and support and empower one another, regardless of our situation.
I love that. And it's very true also. Like anytime you go and support someone, you get something out of it too. Otherwise, no human would support another human. Like it wouldn't be in our human history, right? If there was no benefit. We're selfish. Yeah.
Right. Let's be very honest. We want to support others, but there's always something in it for us, right?
Yes. My friend just had a baby and I'm like, you want me to come over and watch him for you? And it's like, I'm not doing that. Of course I would do that for my friend if she needed me to, 100%. Even if I hated babies for whatever reason. But like, I want to hold a baby. Come on.
Of course you do, right? Like, yes. Oh my gosh, all day long.
Yes. So I get something. Yeah, I get something out of it too. But yeah. So getting into your story a little bit, can you take us back to that moment when you were 9 years old and you first learned that you would eventually become blind, and kind of just what went through your mind? That's so young to have that heavy news.
Yes. So the gift of being a 9-year-old was that cognitively, I heard the news clearly. I was in the doctor's office, the examining room, when the doctor, told my parents. But the reason I say it was a gift is because emotionally, I couldn't process what that meant for my future. So in my 9-year-old mind, I remember thinking, well, people I can see now, so I'm just always going to see, right? It was just whatever my reality was then, I assumed that was going to be my reality forever. The reality didn't affect me emotionally until I was a teenager and started losing a significant amount of sight. When that happened, that's when it was like basically I received the diagnosis. That's when the diagnosis of a 9-year-old really understood the magnitude of what my future was going to be. So the emotional difficulty, adversity, trauma didn't start until I was a teenager when I lost a significant amount of sight.
Did your parents remind you of it at all? Or was it just something that happened kind of gradually? Were they just like, don't forget, you're going to, because like with my youngest, he's diagnosed with Tourette's syndrome. And it's one of those things that when he was younger, I did have to be like, don't forget that sometimes your hands have tics, and so you are not allowed to carry this. Like, it's like, I'm sorry, but you've had a lot of hand tics lately, and you have this thing, and it's not in your control. I'm going to carry this for you because I don't want you to spill milk all over the rug.
Right. 100%. For your safety, right?
Yeah.
That's a great question. So they didn't have to remind me, like as you are thinking about reminding me. Here's how they reminded me. It looked like the reminder came by teaching me strategies before I needed it. So things like we would have, I would start, my parents like, here's a magnifier, and this is what a magnifier does, right? Like, look, it makes a print bigger. So they would introduce things, but, here's a radio to go watch the football games, So that was the reminder that they prepared me both at home and at school. I was prepared. I started learning Braille before I even needed Braille. So I was constantly, it almost felt like I was constantly ahead, but I was constantly using things before I actually needed it.
Yeah.
Which to me, again, 11-year-old mind, I'm like, 10-year-old mind, I'm like, why am I doing this? This is weird. But then I realized, oh, once I lost a huge amount of sight, now I get it.
Yeah.
So, and again, yes, it was gradual and it was quick all at the same time.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is there was not just one day I woke up and I just had no sight. Like I went from full sight to no sight. There wasn't that dramatic. But it is extremely rare, basically over a 4-year period, which is, the 4 years of high school is extremely rare to graduate, the end of high school and not have any vision.
Yeah.
In a perfectly otherwise healthy individual. So that's what I mean by it was fast and it was slow all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the hardest part of losing your sight during your teenage years specifically?
Hands down, without a question, it was the emotional component. Because all I wanted as a teenager was to be, quote, normal.
Yeah.
I wanted to get my permit and driver's license just like everyone else.
Right.
I wanted to get my first job as at the drive-through or a waitress or, you know what I mean? Like all the typical jobs I wanted to do like my friends were doing.
Yeah.
And even everyday things like when you're in high school, when you have a project and yes, you might know that deadline is coming up 3 weeks in advance. But what do a lot of people do? You stay up, you pull all-nighter to
Right.
finish you start and finish the project the same night, right? I desperately wanted that experience.
Yeah.
Because my vision, I had to start when the project was given to us 3 weeks before and work hours each day to complete the project on time. So I was so jealous and angry and frustrated. I just want that normal experience of pulling an all-nighter.
Yeah, of course.
So it's just those normal markers of being a teenager. That was the hardest part.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine just wishing for that normalcy, right? That you see other people around you having, and you're like, I just want that for myself. That's gotta be a difficult thing to go through.
Yes. And so the grief that brought, I can't even put into words the level of the grief.
I want to get into the kind of mental health side of that, but pardon me for one moment because my child is playing his music so loud in his room that I'm going to go onto my phone and turn it down myself because it's obnoxiously loud and I hear it very loud.
Take your time.
Yep. There we go. Right. He had it at like 50%, which is way too loud. His room is right next to my office. And I'm like, you can't. I'm sorry.
We're not an option right now.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Normally he's very, very good about, hey, it's Monday. This is the one thing that I do for myself. And it's on Mondays and it's every Monday and it's very consistent. And all I need is for you to not interrupt. Normally he's fantastic. Every now and then I have to, remind him that he can't.
Just remind him
that he can't. It's okay, which is fine. It's all good.
Speaking of normal teenagers,
yeah, right.
Perfectly.
Yes. Well, and in his defense, his whole world is his whole world, right? Like it's just what's right in front of him. It's fine. So
100%.
So like I said, I really want to get into the mental health side of that. When did you realize that you really needed to shift your focus to mental health to cope with this challenge? You're talking about all these physical things that you and your family put into place, but when was that switch to mental health focus for you?
Honestly, the focus became clear out of pure survival because I got so low so quick. And what I mean by that, what it looked like was such severe anxiety. I was just living in constant panic attacks.
Oh my gosh.
Such severe depression. I couldn't function in school. I mean, I couldn't. Yes, I was at school sitting at my desk or, opening my locker or whatever, but I couldn't focus. I couldn't it was just like a fog.
Yeah.
So the mental health focus came out of, if I want to keep going, I have to get help.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't, I say that to say, I didn't wake up one day and say, gee, guys, I want to focus on my mental health.
Right.
Right. It was just out of, this anxiety is so bad. This depression is so deep. I can't function. I mean, I would lay in bed at night and just about to crawl in my skin. I'm so anxious, but yet I'm so depressed.
Mm.
I couldn't stop crying.
Yeah. Did you have someone that you talked to? Like, were you already in therapy from a young age or anything like that?
So my mom said, I vividly remember her saying this, have a therapist that I've lined up. I've done research to get a
Mm-hmm.
adolescent therapist. We can take you anytime. And of course, what was my response? I don't need it. As
Yeah.
I'm sitting there laying
Yeah.
in my bed, bawling my eyes out, right? Like, I don't need it. So I was just like, I don't want to go, but I'll go.
Yeah.
It was like I would resist it, but I knew I needed it.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I started seeing a therapist in high school and also got a psychiatrist to get on antidepressants, anti-anxieties, which
Mm-hmm.
create a whole difficult process in itself because of the side effects
Mm.
of the medicines and trying to find the right combination of medicines. And one would make me so drowsy I couldn't wake up. One made me so hyped
Yeah.
up I couldn't go to sleep. So it was just that vicious, horrible circle of, it just took forever to even out.
Right. Right. On top of other things that you're already dealing with too.
100%, 1000%. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier the grit and gratitude part of it. And I know that's a focus for you in a lot of your speaking and writing. Can you break down what those words grit and gratitude mean to you?
Yes. And before I break them down, I would love to share how I came to each of those words to give a better context.
Yeah,
Because
please.
again, I don't want to make it sound like I just woke up one day and said, gee, world, I'm going to have grit and be grateful, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the reason I came to those words, again, was out of survival.
Mm.
I living in that mindset of victim and world pity me and friends pity me and family pity me, that actually made me more depressed, more anxious.
Mm.
It didn't serve me. It truly made me worse. There was no benefit. And it's like, well, this is terrible. All right, let me try this. That whole mentality of like, you're a superhero, you're amazing, you're so inspirational, you're so strong.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't serve me either. That made me equally as depressed and anxious as the victim mindset.
Mm.
So it was like I tried each ends of the spectrum emotionally,
Yeah.
and neither gave me strength. And so it was like, okay, well, what am I going to do to navigate through this? I'm still anxious. I'm still depressed. What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
That's when I found grit. And the way that I define grit is not the push through, sweep it under the rug, suck it up, don't feel your feelings, move on, push on, be strong. It's not that at all. The grit that I've developed is acknowledging the difficulty and then still choosing to move forward.
Mm.
Acknowledging the anxiety and choosing to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So the grit looks like feeling and validating my emotions and then still having the tenacity to move forward.
Mm.
And the way that I developed that grit all circles back to the support I received. So as I'm anxious and so overwhelmed by the future, my parents would remind me every day in high school, Laura, let's just focus on today. Yes, the future's overwhelming. Yes, it's uncertain. So all we need to do is focus on today.
Mm-hmm.
Get up, get to school before the bell rings. That's success for the day.
Yeah.
Right? Like we would literally break it down hour by hour. And so that taught me grit. the grit of just being present in the moment, taking it
Mm.
small goals at a time. Balanced with that was the gratitude. And just as I did not wake up and say, oh, I feel grit today, world, so this is what I'm going to feel the rest of my life. Gratitude all started by a short interaction with a mentor. In high school, a mentor of mine said, Laura, I want you to start focusing on gratitude each day and developing a mindset of gratitude. And as she said this, in my head, I'm thinking, wow, that is terrible advice. I really disagree with that. And you're not a good mentor. Because I'm thinking, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I'm going blind. You're telling me to be grateful. I'm angry, I'm sad, I have nothing to be grateful for.
Mm.
So I can honestly say it was in my stubbornness that I said, okay, game on. I'll prove to you I have nothing to be grateful for, lady. Right? Like, truly, that was my teenage stubbornness. And my goal was to give her a sheet of paper that was blank to say, here's what I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Nothing. The one day became 3 days. The 3 days became a week.
Mm-hmm.
A week became a month. And what I realized was she was not teaching me, Laura, I want you to create a mindset of gratitude for anything, everything, all the time, walking around being happy and positive.
Mm-hmm.
She was teaching me, be grateful for what helps you navigate through difficulty.
Yeah.
So a real world example, just like I shared with the grit, she was not at all teaching me to wake up and say, gosh, I'm so grateful for this blindness. Rather, she was teaching me to wake up and say, I'm grateful that in this most difficult situation, I have parents that are teaching me to live in the present moment.
Mm.
So it's a reframing of our mindset.
Yeah.
It's not gratitude, not like ignoring the pain. It's gratitude that in the pain, we acknowledge what gets us through the pain.
So you mentioned the grit is not just pushing through and not just like persevering despite everything kind of thing. It's really about the mindset of it. But how do you know when to push and when to rest, especially on a bad day?
Oh, great question. I'm figuring that out every single day.
That's totally fair. Same.
Literally. Aren't we all, right?
Yeah.
So here's what it looks like. And this came, a therapist told me this, and just like that mentor, I was like, you are a bad therapist. I think I need to fire you. But it works. What I've learned with the grit on when to acknowledge and when to just keep going, push through, like you're saying, let's use anxiety for example. When I'm feeling super, super anxious, I feel that panic attack coming on, yet I know I need to keep going to move forward, make that phone call, send that email, do whatever I need to do to keep going. I give myself 5 minutes to sit with the anxiety, turn towards it, go in the bathroom and cry my eyes out if I need to, or just sit and feel that anxiety and then say, all right, yes, I'm anxious. Yes, I feel like I can't get my next breath. And I choose to do 5 more minutes of whatever I need to do.
Mm.
So it's that balance of stopping for a few minutes to acknowledge that anxiety and then choosing to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And a real literal example that just happened recently, I was in the car and my husband and I were going somewhere and I was super, super, super anxious. And I just sat there just quietly and just focused on my breath and just acknowledged the anxiety, that pit in my stomach, and then just said, I acknowledge the anxiety's here and I choose to just keep focusing on my deep breathing.
Mm.
And I did. So it's not a stop your world until the anxiety goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It's stop and acknowledge the depth of the anxiety and then choose to keep going.
Yeah. And like the choice isn't just, okay, well, I'm going to push through and we're going to, no matter what, life is going to move forward. The choice sounds like is more of a, what am I going to do about it in this moment? What can I do about it in this moment?
1000%. It's self-compassion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's self-compassion to say, and that's exactly what I did that moment, to say, I acknowledge that I feel deeply anxious. I acknowledge I feel like I'm about to throw up. I'm so anxious, right? You know, and you get that lump in your throat.
Yep.
Like, I acknowledge I feel that way. I offer myself just that love. I would do anything to get rid of this feeling right now. And I just got to keep going.
Yeah.
So again, yes, that's perfectly said. It's not a ignoring, it's offering that realization, right?
Right. So, kind of similar question for gratitude. How do you practice gratitude when you're in the middle of something really hard?
So the gratitude looks like, and I want to quickly say before I talk about that, I no longer write down every day 3 things I'm grateful for. Now what it looks like, because people ask me that, okay, 30 years later, do you still spend night every, like, oh my gosh, no. It looks like a mindset of throughout the day, I just recognize things I'm grateful for. So as they happen, I just in my head acknowledge the gratitude. So I say that to say, on those difficult days, that's not my instant go-to of a mindset, right? Like,
Right.
I'm not instantly thinking throughout the day during the difficult days what I'm grateful for. What I take a few minutes to do in those most difficult days at the end of the day, as I'm brushing my teeth, taking a shower, whatever, getting ready for bed, almost breathe that sigh of relief and just say, I am so grateful this day is over. And I survived this day because of ABC, because of that stranger that offered a kind word, because of the sunshine I was able to feel for 5 minutes, because of that one phone call that went really well. And again, it's not about spending hours and hours on gratitude. When I'm struggling and having a difficult day, it might be 2 things I'm grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
Or I might fall in bed and say, thank God this day is over.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it. That's the gratitude for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's enough because that was all I could muster for that day. So I don't want anyone to think like it has to be hours upon hours of focusing on gratitude and it has to be this perfectly written out or thought out gratitude. It can just be falling in bed as your head hits the pillow being, oh my God, I'm so thankful. I get, 2 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep, whatever. So it's gratitude in those difficult days is not all like happy and joyful and all day.
We've definitely hit some days lately where my youngest is starting to get a little bit grumpier than normal, and he's had a couple of times where at the end of his school day we do a little routine, and part of it is like what's something good that happened, and sometimes he's just been like, tomorrow's a new day.
And that's the
good thing. That's the good thing.
And that's the good thing.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over. Seriously. And people, I kind of laugh at that when I tell people that, like, oh, thank God the day's over. But I'm like, that is so true.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of days in high school, and there's still a lot of days now where I'm like, I made it, right? Like, tomorrow's a new day.
Yep. You never have to do this day again.
Exactly. And that's equally as valid. I don't want anyone to hear this and think, oh, that's not valid. That's just less gratitude or less appreciative. That's equally as valid.
Yeah. How do you respond to people who say the grit and gratitude kind of message puts too much pressure on the individual to overcome rather than addressing systemic barriers that might exist?
Choice, choice, choice.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is it's our choice, and I'll make it very specific. It's my choice every day, every moment, every hour. How do I respond?
Mm. Yeah.
And so I have the choice. Am I going to get fixated on those systemic barriers that, yes, I can do something about, but can I control every single moment? It can't in my mindset. Like, is it going to help me make that next phone call, or, in that literally the next moment? What I can control and what I have a choice over is how I respond.
Mm-hmm.
And I can control and respond my choice of mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that a big difference between I'm going to do what I can do, and what I can do is control my not control my attitude, but I can address, how I'm feeling and everything in that moment. And then also, and we were talking about this a little bit before, you asked me how I like living in Texas, and I was like, yeah, it sucks. But it sucks for specific reasons. But I'm here, and me and my family are making the best of it. Are there systemic issues here? Yes, absolutely. The things that I can do that are within my control are to vote, and to make sure that I am heard through my representatives, and to make sure that if there's something that I can donate to or attend or whatever, that I do that. And then the rest of it is just supporting my kids through it. And it's one of those things that it's like, I can't do a lot about it necessarily. There are reasons that I'm here. And so I have to do what I can do. And then the rest of it has to be like you're saying, that has to be my choice of what I do in this situation. And I
100%.
Yeah. So I kind of equate those two a little bit of like, yes, that's a great example of there are systemic issues. I do what I can about them. However, life goes on, and the rest of my choice has to do with how I deal with it in my smaller circle.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that example, because that's perfect. That's exactly what I was trying to say, and you said it much better, more clear in a real world example, because that's 100% true. Yes. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So what's one small thing that folks listening could do today to start building their own foundation of grit and gratitude?
The first step is acknowledging the pain and the difficulty of the adversity you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is because from my own experience, I wanted to instantly jump to, how do I fix it? How do I move forward?
Of course.
Right? Like, how's the future going to work out? Right? Like, I want to jump from problem to solution.
Yep.
Right? Like,
Same.
instantly. And so many people I work with, both speaking and on the individual level, they're like, here's the change I'm facing. Now, how do I get through it tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it's like, unfortunately, that's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've found in my own life is, once I acknowledge the pain, yes, I'm in this deep anxiety. Yes, I'm in this deep depression. Yes, I'm in this deep time of grief. Then I had the empowerment and the mindset and the control to move forward and do something about it. Until I acknowledged the pain, I was just like spinning in circles mentally, It's just like, how do I fix it? How do I fix it? How do I fix it? So that's why I say, for anyone listening, acknowledge the pain you're experiencing. And that then allows you to put the steps in place to create that foundation. But first, please, please, please don't do what I did. Don't skip over the emotional pain of your experience. Validate the pain.
Yeah. Well, because if you're not validating your pain, you're really just sweeping it under the rug, which is whenever, and you touched on this earlier, but when you hear a lot of people say grit, like one of the things that pops into my mind, and I'm sure for other people it's the same, is just that push through no matter what kind of thing. So I'm glad that you took the time to define that earlier too, because it really isn't. It's really not pushing through it. That acknowledgement is really important. The acknowledgement of like, yeah, there is pain, and sometimes there's not a lot you can do about just the existence of pain, right?
Right.
or discomfort or whatever it is that you're facing.
Right.
But that acknowledgement's
100%.
really important.
Yes.
So when you were going through all of this as a teenager and going blind, did you have hobbies or activities that you had to give up that you really loved? And did you find new ones?
So the one I had, what instantly comes to mind, the hobby that I had to give up was dancing. From the time I could walk, I was in dance class. I would do it all day, every day if I could have.
Yeah.
I loved dancing. It was all I knew, all I remembered. Loved it, loved it, loved it. So yes, I had to give that up because of the constant vision loss and the dizziness that came from that. It was just not possible to continue the level of dancing and
Right.
where I was. So yes, to give that up was incredibly difficult, incredibly painful emotionally.
Did you wind up replacing that with something or finding a new hobby to kind of fill the space?
So another hobby that I wouldn't say I replaced it. I would say I increased it.
Yeah.
So I loved, and have always, since, again, like dancing, that I can remember as a family, hiking was a huge family hobby. And so again, I wouldn't say I replaced dancing with hiking. I would say my hiking increased. I spent more time in nature, in the woods, just appreciating it more because it became more of a focus.
Yeah.
And also not just hiking, I would say just being outside in general. It didn't necessarily have to be like some strenuous, crazy hike, right? Like just being outside became a major hobby that I loved.
Yeah, being in outdoor spaces is fantastic. And it's one of those things that, especially right now, because it's December and the days are very, very short, one of the things that people recommend over and over is just get outside for a few minutes. Even if it's really cold and you have to bundle up, and like it's not necessarily about getting the sun on your skin or anything, which of course is a great thing to do as well. But it's just about getting outside and getting yourself into that environment that is so natural. And
I did that this morning.
Yeah. Find you one thing you can hear, and go listen to the birds, and that's just, it's so, I want to say healing, but that's not really the word that I'm looking for. I think I'm looking for more like it's very connecting. Like you're connecting.
It's grounding.
Yeah, there it is. That's what I'm looking. Thank you.
It's deeply grounding.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about things that your family had started to use. What technology or tools do you use now that have really been game changers?
So I tell everyone, I don't want to say the people, but the technology, I guess, that I talk to the most all day long, hands down, are Siri and Alexa.
Yeah.
I use Siri and Alexa for everything. So yes, technology is an incredible benefit and gift.
Yeah. Are there things that you can do now that you never would have even tried if you hadn't lost your sight?
Honestly, that goes back to the mental, just developing resiliency.
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't try before, it's I just need it. Right? And so I think we don't know our potential, a true strength and resiliency until it's forced upon us.
Yeah.
And so many people say to me and said to my parents in those high school years, I could never do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And my response and their response is absolutely, we didn't think we could either. But when you're forced in the situation, you had no choice.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to keep going, right? Like,
right.
And even my mom tells the example of 3 or 4 years. I mean, she doesn't remember exactly when, but several years before I was diagnosed, she was reading in a magazine, and it was an article about an adult who had just recently became blind. And she said, I really remember saying, I don't know how he does it. I could never do it. And then years later, her child was diagnosed and became blind. And this
Wow.
is like, you just develop a resiliency and a strength you didn't know was possible.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that I think when you see people going through things, or when you see people doing things that I mentioned earlier, my friend just had a baby. She's 40.
Yes.
I'm 40. Well, I guess now she's 41. She just had a birthday. So like I can't imagine having a baby right now. But for her,
I can't either. I'm 41. Can't
I
imagine
know.
it.
I'm like, I don't think so. My babies are great and I love them so much. No more. No more. I'm good. I'm good. But, it's like she's going through all of this and I'm looking at her going, I don't know how you're doing it right now. And she is like, I don't know how you did it back then. So it's very like you do what you have to do in the situations that you're in, and you don't know your strengths until you're put in that situation.
100%.
And then you don't have a choice.
And then it's no choice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's called life.
Yep. What do you want people to understand about living with blindness that they might not know?
People who are blind are human.
Mm.
And I say that because the most common thing, people just assume my life is so drastically different.
Mm.
And it's very similar in that we're all in this life thing together.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta survive and eat and how, like it's all living, wanting to live out the purpose, my goals, experience my passions, enjoy hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
We put it's other on situations that we aren't going through. Yes, people who are sighted can't relate because it's just impossible to relate to, as far like how you do things, like you were just asking about technology.
Mm-hmm.
But at the fundamental core level, we're all just humans wanting to be respected and valued.
Yeah. How can people support a loved one who is going through a major transition without being pitying or patronizing?
Oh, great question. And I'm so glad you asked because I love talking about this. Again, I speak from my own lived experience.
Yeah.
The best support that I received is those people that said to me or say to me, I don't walk in your shoes. I'm not going to pretend to walk in your shoes. I'm here to support you. You let me know how I can best support you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you don't have to say exactly that, but just to convey you're there to support.
Yeah.
You're not there to pity. You're not there to tell them they're absolutely amazing and inspirational and motivational. But you're also not there to, oh, I think you need this. And so I'm going to do this for you. Just let them know you're there to support and you'll do what they need to support.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that simple, but that's so hard for people because we want to do what we think we would need in that situation.
Of course, yeah.
Right? And let me give you a very practical situation. What I mean by this, again, and this is just a small, tiny example. There was a office that I was going to for a while, and someone would always open the door for me as I got to the front door, assuming that was helpful and that's what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Having a guide dog, it was best for me to walk up to the front door, allow the guide dog they're trained to put their nose on the handle. I could orient myself, make sure I was even in the door. I wasn't like one side or the other. Put my hand on the doorknob, open the door, walk in, that gives me a better orientation
Yeah.
of the space. they assumed it was helpful to open the door wide and just be like, hey, come in.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how many times I said it, they didn't listen. They just automatically assumed they know what's best for me.
Yeah.
And that actually made the situation harder. So that's just one tiny, tiny, tiny example of, rather than assuming what's best, ask.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to support you. What do you need?
Yeah. And then it sounds like also listen.
1,000% listen. 1,000%. I cannot stress that enough. I've had more people than I could ever count who didn't listen, who just, and it wasn't that I wasn't saying it. It was just they didn't want to hear what I'd say. They wanted to do it their way to make themselves feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they were helping the poor, pitiful blind girl.
So you have a guide dog?
I don't currently. I've had 2 in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So I had one. I got my first guide dog the few months in between high school and college. And so I had her for about 12 years. And then I'm my second guide dog about 12 years after she died. So, and then my second guide dog, she died a year ago, and I haven't received another one since.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything different about having a guide dog? Like, do you have a lot of people ask to pet the guide dog, or like any interactions with the public that are different having one versus not having one?
So that is completely a catch-22. It's a gift because the dog is that natural icebreaker. Everyone will tell you about their fluffy.
Yes, true. Very true.
Everyone wants to tell you about their pet. And so that's a natural, the focus is on the dog, and they forget they're scared of the blindness. Without the dog, they're like, well, what do I say to that blind person? And so they assume they should talk louder and slower.
Yeah.
Or tell you, I can't tell you how many people tell me, oh, well, my neighbor down the street used to be blind. My aunt's cousin's sister's friend used to be blind. Like, they feel like they have to tell you about another person they know who is blind. Like, somehow that's a connection. So the gift of having a dog is that you have that connection. It brings that, it takes the barrier down, but you are 100% right. They want to pet your dog all day long, which is great. And of course, the dog loves it. The problem is the dog's my eyes.
Yeah.
Right?
They're supposed to be working.
Yes, they're supposed to be working. Like, when you're distracting my eyes, you're distracting my eyes. Like, that's a safety issue. So people don't mean harm by it at all.
Right.
It's just not helpful when they're petting the dog, because I need the dog to stay focused on the task for my physical safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a gift and a difficulty all at the same time.
Yeah. So Bite Mark sent this question ahead of time. She would like to know, what is your favorite poem?
So I would definitely circle back and say, honestly, I do not have a favorite poem, but I cannot stress enough the book Tuesday with Morrie.
Okay.
Because it just sums up, again, and circles back to everything we were talking about. What would you say? You know, the question about what would you say to someone? Support, support, support. It doesn't look like pity. It doesn't look like making them superhero amazing person. It looks like support and listening.
Yeah. I haven't read that one. I know that it's a really famous, popular book, but I haven't ever read that one. So I'll have to put it on my to be read list on my little shelf.
Definitely. And when you read it through the lens of support and listen, you'll see what I mean. It's okay. If you just read it like just on the surface, it's like, oh, whatever, 2 people connecting once a week, you know. But read it from the perspective of this is support and listening.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
Okay. I'll definitely put it on I keep a Goodreads list of just books. It's Perfect. It's like 400 books on that list. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot on that list, but I'll get to it eventually. So this is not related to the topic at all, but here we go. So I had a guest for a previous show. She sent me 2 books, and we talked about one whenever she joined me. This was at least a year ago. And she sent them to me like 6 months before we were supposed to talk. And so I read the book that we were going to talk about, but she had sent me another one. Well, just a few months ago, I actually picked up that next book, and I reached back out to her. I was like, Jody, I'm reading your next book, and I swear it's not that it's taken me this long to get to it because I don't want to read it. It's just it was in a stack.
That is awesome. My 400, right?
Yes. But I will get to it eventually. When I do, I'll let you know. I'll let you know what I think of it.
That is great. I love it. I love it. That's great.
So what is your favorite life hack?
Courage. Developing courage supports us in the good and in the bad. In the good, it allows us to compliment and respect ourselves. And in the difficulty, it allows us to keep going and not give up.
Mm-hmm. It can be really difficult to have courage, though.
Incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult.
Do you have any like tips of if you're not feeling it? Here, like, they talk about before public speaking, doing the power poses and that kind of thing. Do you have any tricks for picking up a little bit of courage in your life?
I would say start, and this is not going to sound like it leads to courage, but I promise it does because it was my lived experience. Focus on your breathing.
Mm.
And the reason I say that, I had no idea how the anxiety, the depression, the grief was making me breathe short, shallow, almost like I was panting, right? Like short, shallow breaths, or just holding my breath.
Yeah.
And once I started a simple practice of breathing from my diaphragm and just deep breaths, just even in and out, that just calmed my whole nervous system and allowed me to think clearer. And the anxiety decreased. I don't in any way want to paint the picture it went away magically.
Sure.
But it gave me the choice to choose courage.
Mm.
So start with a very, very simple practice of breathing, and I promise it will lead to courage.
Yeah. Do you have any specific breathing techniques? Like there's box breathing and there's like 4x4 breathing and there's a couple of different breathing techniques. So are there any in particular that work for you?
I love the box breathing.
Yeah.
Because the reason I love it and what I introduced to people I work with, it's very practical. Breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds. We can do that, right? But like, if somebody tells me, oh, focus on your breath for 10 minutes, it's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I get distracted, right? So that simple box breathing, I don't know, for me, it's just I can manage that, right? When I'm just like breathing so quickly and shallow, I can handle the box breathing. So it just, for me, is that practical way to start, and then it can increase from there.
Yeah. I love talking about box breathing and there's some studies about what it actually does to your brain. Like, of course, controlling your breath is going to help your body and it's going to help your brain and everything. But the specifics of like that 4 in and the 4 hold and the 4 out. So you've got the 12 seconds of no oxygen really getting to your brain. And then that intake for 4 gives you a nice deep breath. Like there's so much science behind that. It's really, really cool. I love it.
It's fascinating, right?
Yep.
Because again, I'm so glad you said that. That's the other part that was helpful for me. It's holding your breath, but only 4 seconds. I'm not trying to hold my breath for 30 seconds, right? And then be like, and just letting it all out. It's manageable. I can do 4 in, 4 out. So it's very, very practical when you're getting started.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Well, it is time for the magic moment. If you could wave a magic wand and eliminate one common opinion or misconception surrounding mental illness, disabilities, or talking about mental health, what would it be?
People with disabilities, and I've said this so many times throughout our time together, are superhero, amazing, inspirational. We're humans living
Yeah.
our life.
Hmm.
It's that simple.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people's, and they talk about just looking into someone else's life, like you never get the whole picture also. And it's like, yeah, okay, you're seeing this inspirational piece of it, and you don't see that I woke up and had to deal with it being really, really cold and my kid being grumpy. He wasn't grumpy this morning, but
Right.
some mornings he is. So, it's like you didn't see all of that part. What you get to see is the part that you put forward. So, yeah, the reminder that everyone's human, and that's what it boils down
Yes.
to at the end of the day, is a great,
At
great
the end of the
reminder.
day.
Yeah.
Yes. And we like you said, we forget that, right? Because we're only
Yes.
looking at that quick snapshot. But
Hmm.
when we take it to that human to human level, it's like, oh, wow, that's just what I thought about this morning, or I
Right.
struggled with this morning, Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I am going to post your links one more time for folks to connect with you. I've got your website, got your LinkedIn. I'll get those posted. So anybody who is here and wants to connect with Laura, feel free to click through on those. Make sure that you engage with some of her posts, especially on LinkedIn, just so that she gets that algorithm, the little bites of the algorithm in there. And while I do that, Laura, I will just hand you the mic and say anything you want to cover that we didn't get to cover, or resources or sites that you want to make sure to mention. Feel free to throw those out while I get this stuff posted.
Yeah, so definitely go to my website and LinkedIn and let's connect. And I would love to hear about the ways that each of you have experienced gratitude.
Mm.
It's so different for all of us on how we experience. So I'd love to hear your practices, and in it all, in everything we've talked about. I want you to hear and take away that you are enough in the midst of trauma, in the midst of difficulty, in the midst of adversity, in the midst of struggling with mental health, all that we experience in life, it's so easy to forget that we are enough. So I want you to hear that from us, and trust that tonight. Even if you don't believe it or feel it, hear each of us saying that you are enough.
That's a great way to close this out, Laura. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Thank you for sharing your story just in general. I really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you everyone else for being here and being a part of this. So you guys stick around for just a minute. I'm going to disconnect with Laura and I will be right back. But Laura, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. I'll be right back. Stick around.